This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today, we are welcoming Breck Kling to our podcast. There's going to be a little noise in the background if anybody hears it. We have some new construction happening on the roof. But today's guest has a front row seat to the world of fine art, collecting, and some of the most important artists of our time. Breck Kling is a fine art consultant, acquisitions, and collection management specialist, and a longtime collector who helps people navigate the fascinating intersection of art, passion, and investment. From Palm Beach to Jackson Hole, Breck has spent decades helping collectors understand not just what art is worth, but why it matters. Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us in this summertime here in South Florida.
Yeah.
I think we should just start at the beginning and introduce yourself to the audience.
How did you get involved in art? Career in art?
I could go way back because for me, it actually starts as a childhood thing.
Okay.
And it's literally, and I don't know if, by the way, stop me if I'm going too deep on any of these stories, but, I was fortunate to grow up in a family that had some success. My grandfather founded a big company. And as a result of that, had some amazing art. I mean, Monet and Renoir and Picasso and Bonnard and, Hans Hofmann and kind of et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't understand that those things had value as a kid at all, but I was attracted to it. Like those visuals worked for me. Later in life, I learned that I was just completely visually oriented. That's how I process information. It's how I understand the world. Yeah. So I ended up becoming an art history major, undergrad at University of Rochester. For me, that was a complete no-brainer. I could understand those narratives, that context made perfect sense for me. So to understand world history via those stories, the visual stories worked. And so that took me ultimately to architecture. I became a grad student at the University of Virginia studying architecture and loved it. Architecture in the end is about, it's art and it's engineering. It's, it's construction.
The intersection, yeah.
Yeah, it's the intersection, but at the most fundamental in a way, it's how we organize our world. It's how we understand our world. It's how rituals get formed. It's how we celebrate our life. So that organization made a ton of sense to me, and I love studying it. I love studying the theory, but at the end of my studies, I didn't want to be an architect, ironically. And as much as I respect the field, and I have architects who I'm so in love with their work, and I track it all the time, and I just didn't want to practice.
Okay.
I was more interested in being an entrepreneur. And the upshot is that entrepreneurial journey in my 20s and 30s afforded me the opportunity to also collect art. So that led to me traveling the world to see and buy art that was about our moment in time.
So more modern art.
Well, contemporary, right?
Contemporary,
So art about this moment.
But question, which trying to understand more of this, you're buying art. Are you buying it because you love what it looks like, or because there's a value that you could resell it increases your net worth? What's the...
Okay, so what's interesting about that is there's no question that if I bought things that I somehow felt compelled to buy. So by the way, it's not necessarily about aesthetics. It's often about ideas. So I think that a lot of times, sometimes I don't like how museums display art because it's almost like you're only left to make an aesthetic or stylistic decision, not a contextual decision about why that might be hanging on the wall in the museum. Like when you study art history, what you realize is art that ends up being in our canon of history is about a moment in time. Like it helps us connect with a moment. So when I started that collecting journey, I wanted to understand who was making me feel connected to our moment, where we're living. And so that was really the context I approached it. And
so history pieces that go with a moment in time.
Our moment,
meaning
contemporary. So made by contemporary artists, living artists.
Generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
People
our
you
generation.
could actually like meet, understand.
Exactly. I might
Like-
be able to meet them. And if I did, I love doing that.
Right.
Like one of my favorite things in the world was to go to an artist studio and just listen and ask
Like
questions.
hear their
see-
process.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, when I think of art, I always kind of go back of the artist or art that you hear about, 200, 300,
The old
400 years ago.
masters and-
You don't hear, at least from a normal perspective, of the artists that are today.
Well,
There's not as much conversation. Am I
no,
wrong?
well, you
or-
have to be right. So you have to put yourself in that context.
Uh-huh.
So then you do hear about it. Right. So like if you became like a collector, and so you're going to Art Basel every year in
Right, I was just
Miami,
gonna say,
Right,
you've
yeah.
been to every one since the first one. You're going to Switzerland.
Yeah.
You're connecting with an art dealer, an art advisor that's helping you. So in the end, it's a journey. It's a process. Like early on, I feel like I made a lot of aesthetic only decisions. So things
Which
that
I would think that's how most people start.
Yeah,
In a way,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and in a way like that, and it makes perfect sense. It's a great way to
Yeah.
start, right? But then there's more and more layers and more complexity that ends up, as you're doing it, you learn, and then you end up finding other ways that you're starting to be attracted to things. I mean, there was even a moment in time where if I was repelled by something, I'd be like, okay, stop and like really sit with this. And like, because there's something happening here that you're actually having a visceral reaction to it. And so what is that coming from? And oftentimes I'd end up loving those things because they pushed me.
They evoked something
Yeah,
within you.
Yeah. It like made me reach,
Yeah.
to understand it a little bit. And so it's really just that journey in a way, because I mean, I always like try to point out to people that like, so I'm like an idea oriented person. Like I love,
So is
like,
Scott.
I love ideas.
Right.
Like I love thinking about like what opens up like something in my mind that allows me to understand something differently. And art is really like the encapsulation of ideas that ultimately can have real value, but it's literally just the idea. Like it's not a machine that produces a car. It's not, it's not making products. It's representing an idea, right? Like it's at its essence. And that's like a great, like, that's uniquely human, right? To be able to abstract something to the point of being intelligible in that form. So that to me ended up being a really exciting, and but it's also challenging. Like you have to look a lot and develop your eye. I feel like I'm like
It's almost
rattling.
like a
Well, I feel-
gemologist, really, to
Yeah.
art. I mean,
Yeah.
you literally do train your eye to appreciate techniques, their histories or stories, and
exactly.
their place in society.
Yeah.
or in
So
culture.
listening to you, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot.
You are.
No,
actually.
because I think we travel a lot. Like we just came back from Italy. And whenever we travel, we're always going through museums. We're always going and looking at art, like we're at the Vatican and different places. And it's all, like I just said, like a couple 100 years old. I don't think we really see or go look,
And appreciate contemporary.
contemporary.
No,
Yeah.
we don't.
No,
It
it's like,
is something that
why?
we should add to our list of.
So I think
places
of
to do and
contemporary,
things to
I
do.
say to myself, like, well, who are the contemporary artists? I think of Peter Max, and I had a friendship with Ken Keeley. I don't know if
I don't know if I know Ken Keeley. I might recognize the work.
Malcolm Forbes made him very popular
Oh, I might have
years
actually.
and years ago.
Okay.
He was a customer of mine. He did these pictures where it was like a magazine stand with all the magazines, or a bookstore with all the books.
Such a cool.
They became
genre
very
in a
very
way.
popular.
Yeah, yes, I do know the work.
And there
yes,
were a lot of
yes,
them out
yes,
there.
Yes.
And Malcolm Forbes was the
Yes.
one that bought a few of his pieces for very expensive numbers that
Yeah.
elevated him.
Elevated it. Yeah.
And he ended up doing a piece for me where, in the bottom of it, he did a personalized kind of sketch having to do with a company that I had, and the logo it was like grocery stores that I had. So he did like a custom sketch of the logo and whatnot,
Nice.
which we have hanging in our house.
Nice.
I wonder if it has any value.
Might. I'd be happy to like do a little research for you. That's
Yeah,
something I
that
can
would be
do,
worthwhile.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like that is like such the interesting thing of like where art and design intersect in a way too. And in some of our travels, when you're saying contemporary was where you kind of, sparked your first interest. one of the tour guides we had hired to walk with us, like in Versailles and what have you, and all these beautiful frescoes and all these paintings, he was like, think of it as the modern day Instagram. This was
Yeah.
how they told what was happening.
Yeah. Right.
So
that
it
was a
is-
distribution
That
channel.
was their
Oops, excuse me.
distribution channel,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
like so fascinating to
Yeah.
me that when you think of it like that through history anyway, and how inspiration was so localized or historical.
Right. Because the reach was that, right?
Yes.
So their reach was localized, and information traveled slowly. So so we live in a very different moment.
Right. Totally different moment.
Everything is at light speed. and-
Everything is at light speed. And art, I feel like now is beyond obviously just a bronze or a carving
But it can
or
be those
painting.
things.
Correct. Well, it is those things in
It
my
is.
opinion.
No, right. No, but it
Yeah.
always is.
Yeah.
Like it can be anything. And by the way, contemporary, like to make a distinction, which I feel like is sometimes important, maybe not for you all, but like contemporary is just like representing our moment. It's not a style.
Right. Which is so
Like-
good to
like
say.
something could be-
I actually love that.
Right. No,
I
it's
never
not.
think of it
It's
like that.
So
You're
it's
right.
It's like what the distinction we're making really is just like art being made today.
Yes.
So it could be anything. It could be someone like reinterpreting Renaissance paintings. It could be someone making lucite sculpture. It could be, so it's just what's happening today. It's art. It's,
It's happening
Yeah,
now, being
yeah.
created
like, and
now.
I was thinking a lot when I was first collecting like living artists. I wanted to know who was like my generation making art.
Right.
So,
And so where did that
But do
journey
those
lead
artists
you?
have like real value in terms of like
I'm filled with
worth?
regret for the things I sold that have so much value now.
I bet.
Really?
Like, I mean, millions
I
of
always-
dollars of like value that's been lost.
I mean, I always think
I would believe
that the value of an artist is after they've passed away. It
Oh
becomes
no.
That's not necessary.
No, and by the way, the market's so robust now.
uh-huh.
I mean, I think about just if you take the timeline, and I'm so bad about timeline, so I don't know when exactly Art Basel in Miami
It's-
for the first one.
It was almost
2000s.
like,
Like 2001 or
early
something.
2000.
20-something years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 26 or
Yeah.
so I feel like the climate then, and I was like a young collector then, was and it's almost like you kind of knew so much of the collector world back then, people that were going to the fairs. I mean, today, fast forward, I mean, almost everybody is considering art as an asset class. Like it's
Yes.
actually anyone with any wealth, like it literally isn't just a collectible, it's actually a potential asset class now.
Correct.
So it's the entire landscape has changed.
And
And-
what do you think led to that change? Accessibility? Like what led to that
Well,
awakening?
the wealth creation, I think, in this country
Yeah.
in the world is really unbelievable. So kind of make the democratization of wealth and information for sure. People have access to more information. I think the art fairs have really done. I mean, Art Basel Miami has really elevated art in South Florida.
Totally.
Like no question.
Yeah.
Like it becomes something that people want to go do. They want to
Yeah.
go, even if they don't know what's
Correct.
happening. They want to
They
go
don't want to miss it.
and check it out. So people are getting exposed, and just like inadvertently, people are becoming collectors. Like, and then they're becoming more sophisticated. And it's just like that's the entree. It was harder to get an entree into it, I think, probably going back 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Totally.
Yeah, but that's not true today. Like it's very easy to find a way to access art and learn. I think that I always recommend going to art fairs, and it's one of the ways I started. So as an architect, as a lover of architecture and studying architecture and being interested in art, my first foray into it was buying art made by architects. So like there was an artist or an architect, Aldo Rossi, who would sell his drawings and his sketches. Another one, Tadao Ando, a Japanese architect who's one of my all-time favorites. I have a ton of his like sketches.
drawings.
What
Yeah.
makes him a favorite?
Just
So
appreciate.
so he is so like, I don't know if so it also, by the way, when I discovered him was at a time when I was entering graduate school,
Mhm.
and he was reducing like structure and experience and buildings to such an essential experience, but like so optimized for like like beauty and light and, experience with materials that I was just like, it was like a different world for me, like seeing his view of architecture. And he's Japanese, so, there's such a refinement to the way that culture approaches things. Yeah,
Minimalism
really, it was
and
very
yeah.
minimalist. So it's kind of this essential look at architecture. And so I don't know if you would necessarily love his work, but I mean, I think he's wonderful. He's won a Pritzker Prize. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats of our generation, from an academic and professional perspective. And he's got buildings all across the world, so he's been able to build everywhere.
Like an I.M. Pei or somebody in that type of.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just
region.
reminded me of something.
Huh.
I met I.M. Pei as a kid, and I should actually tell that story because that actually was formative for me. But I love I.M. Pei,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a person. But he's passed, but I
Yes.
did love him as a person. So for me, Ando helped me understand like what architecture could be and the experience with space. And I think that's why I fell in love with Ando. So I found a dealer in New York, Max Protesh, became a friend of mine, and I bought like drawings from.
That's so
Like he was one of the only
crazy.
dealers that sold like the art of architects at the time.
That's such a cool genre.
Yeah, it is cool. I still
'Cause I
have a
don't
bunch of it.
even as a drafts person myself, I don't ever want to dump them. I think they are so pretty.
Yeah, you think like Karl Lagerfeld has all these sketches that
Yes.
people buy, and like, I mean, there's all this stuff out there.
True.
I mean, another example in the furniture world, I don't know if you all know who Wendell Castle is.
No.
Do you know Wendell? So Wendell Castle is considered like one of kind of the fathers of the American sculptural furniture movement.
Okay.
And so unique one-off pieces of furniture that are sculptural, that like literally like they function as furniture, but they are in fact sculpture. And they're often hand-built, interesting craft. I mean, world-class craftsmanship, incredible design. So I got to know Wendell very well. And he's very well collected by people in Miami.
Brad Pitt, probably. I think I've seen some of those.
Maybe. I wonder if Brad Pitt, who's the big development? Is it Lieberman, the big development family from Miami? Like they love, I've been to a party at one of their homes with Wendell in the past. Wendell's since passed, but there's a lot of collectors that, love his work. And we'll check it out.
I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, but that's an intersection of those worlds.
And and I have such a deep appreciation for that intersection because as an interior designer who, like you mentioned, I knew from very young that this is what I wanted to do with my life. My dad was a yacht builder, so we always had an in-house interior design team through the years that I would pick fabrics with for throw pillows or help with the sconces or accessories. But when it came to wanting to go to college, I wanted like a 4-year experience in a university, and none of the universities offered interior design at the time. And I was like, I wasn't ready to take on architecture at the time. So I have an art history major from Boston University.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with a minor in decorative arts. And it was more on the history of furniture.
Yeah.
And furniture being art.
Yeah.
So it was kind of my own precursor to where I am today. So I do have such an appreciation of where they intersect. And they feel like a really cool thing that the internet does provide is like there's now websites and sources, like even First Dibs kind of satellite does it, where you can get some of these really special one-offs and, really be, have something special in your house.
Definitely.
Because one thing we try to talk about on the podcast a lot is in this world of everything mass produced, quick, and like, please set yourself apart. Like, bring in the one-offs, we want to
like some perspective.
Correct. Bring in the perspective. So I'm really excited about this podcast as I think that is such a good intersection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love design. So, and I'm trying to think of some of the designers who I've met and I have worked. I mean, are you all familiar with Ingo Marr, the German lighting designer? So I met him, have some Ingo Marr, work. I just think I like his studio approach to, design. So I was kind of turned on listening to the way he spoke about his practice. And And that to me is art every bit as, as much as any painting on my wall.
Right.
I mean, they might be more produced, but they're not highly produced. They're limited, but, oh my gosh, I'm going to draw a blank now. I'm going to have to come back to it. There's another Japanese artist who I love and furniture designer. It does more like limited stuff, a very unique approach.
So it's so interesting. So where does your process start? So you have a private collection and like obviously a creative part that this drives you. But where does your process start when you're working with a collector? Do you teach them? Is it for a new home or is it for their yacht? I mean, is there pieces people buy because they just have to have them and then they find the perfect place? Like, what's the process?
Or you're purchasing because you're helping decorate the house, so finding pieces for the house?
It's like all things.
Or is it
Yeah.
more for
it doesn't
investments?
fit in a box.
Okay, well, one lesson that I've learned in this business, in the fine art business, is that in the end, wall space matters, and people collect.
You find your space.
Yeah, for this, what they have available on their wall. Like, so what, where do they need something?
So most people are giving you a direction. I have this wall I want to fill.
Yeah, that's very often the case.
Okay.
I have many, many collectors that have filled warehouses also. Of art.
Okay.
But they don't care.
That.
So they fill a warehouse.
I love that.
So that's, to me, it sounds like that's those are investments.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're buying things that they have to buy. They believe in them. They want to own them over time. Maybe they see them as something they're succession assets. They can move on to their children or, so there's a lot of different ways they look at it. There's also a compulsivity that can happen with art because it is something you can really fall in love with. And so, and people with capacity can go for it.
What I have a hard time getting a grasp is that you're buying, an individual who's buying all this art and, like you said, putting it in a warehouse. How you're appreciating it. It's kind of like you're almost forgetting about
Well,
it.
a warehouse at that level has become like a museum.
Yeah, like, well, now, like in Miami,
creating.
have you ever visited? You should visit it, and I would do it with you all if you want some time. Like, go to the Rebel collection.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally
How fun would that
become
be?
a museum. And so I think it started more as storage at one point, and now it's
Is it Steve Robel?
Well, Steve Robel was he the founder of Studio 54?
Yeah.
This is his brother,
him and
his wife and their family.
Okay.
And I'm drawing a blank on their names. I feel so bad. Sometimes, sorry.
No, I'm terrible with names.
that-
It's so funny you say that because I can tell you what they were wearing when I met them,
Yeah.
but I can't tell you their names.
Yeah, sorry. No, I can blank, but they're they're really nice people, and I've met them briefly, like shook hands with them, but I love what they've done, and they have a great curator in Miami. And so now they put on beautiful shows, and but they have an extensive collection. They're effectively like one of the most important collectors in the United States, and they're always looking and finding young, emerging, interesting talent.
Really?
And they're fantastic at that. And so they're bringing things to the market. Then they're displaying them in Miami. Often they'll do beautiful things during Art Basel Miami so that people can come in and get exposed to these art.
So are they displaying them to sell them or just to show them off?
No, I think that it's literally more of a love of art and the community and the supporting the community. And
That's amazing.
yeah, it's not a commercial operation. They certainly would trade things, I would believe, on occasion. I don't know that for sure, but I think they do trade in and out of things at times. But I think the bulk of it is like meant to be collected and owned,
Amazing.
over time. Yeah, it's become a real
So is it
institution.
in the Wynwood area or where is
They
there?
were,
Yeah.
and they've since moved, and now I can't remember the area they moved to, which is now getting super hot, like, because they're really good at picking locations and drawing the traffic. So, it's really fun to go to. And but Marty Margulies has a warehouse down there, which is also now has a display aspect and a whole team of curators. And Dela Cruz had a beautiful space, but I think that now that Rosa Dela Cruz passed, I hope I'm remembering that right, and now she's giving the space, I believe, to the ICA, which is right next door in Wynwood. So there's a tradition in Miami of doing, like, opening up those spaces, and people are doing it all over the place.
Yeah,
now.
the galleries are popping up too.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your own due diligence on newer artists and people up and coming, I mean, is it really just through like an Art Basel or through shows, or do people like seek you out and be like, come and, give a review? Or
I've had like friends ask me to kind of give them a download on, things that I'm seeing. And there was a point in time when I was far more active at looking at emerging art than I am now. I feel like now I'm looking more at collectible art and like trying to meet specific needs for my clients.
okay.
So it's a little bit not as broad as it was. But so I meant to make this point earlier. So one of the first things I ever did early after collecting like, kind of architects' art, I got introduced to a gallery in Chicago. I was living in Chicago at the time, got to know the owner of the gallery very well. And we ended up making a trip to Art Basel, Switzerland one summer.
What a fun
And his way he posed it to me is he's like, listen, Breck, like, we're going to take a couple days, and this is like almost seeing what's the art world like in a room. I mean, it's many, many rooms and it's huge, but it's like, this is like in a box, you get to go and you get to really just see and experience what is like kind of the current kind of collectible art world. It's the top galleries on the planet. It's like they're bringing out stuff to show. It's almost every collector, substantial collector in the world is showing up. Museums are showing up. So this is a place to get exposure. It's almost like you get to fly somewhere and go, and then just like.
And this is Switzerland.
Yeah, well, and I think that then the surrogate for that would be Miami.
Miami. I think that's where it started.
So you have
Switzerland,
Art Basel Miami and in Switzerland. Are there any other big shows or
Frieze
conferences or
Frieze in London, the Armory Show in New York. There's a handful, and at some point, if you want, I could send you a list of things which are worth checking out. But since you're here, like, it's worth going to Art Basel Miami, and as part of that, going to Art Miami is another good view for what's happening in the secondary market. So
does it change every year? Is it that big of a difference in change in what you're seeing?
They're always bringing new things. There's always new things to see, always. And even if it's artists that you're well, there's still things showing up that are, and something special or interesting or something that. So it's like it's a visual education, to go and walk around. I mean, the problem is it gets quite busy now.
Right. So it's definitely like a.
Yeah, it's a to-do.
It's an event.
And people dress up and,
It's definitely an outing. It's a hot spot.
Yeah.
I think it's so special that it's here, though, and Miami got to become the hub for that.
I think it's really meaningful that happened for Miami. I'm really happy for Miami, and I've met and worked with Norman Brayman, who's one of the best collectors in the country. Norman was instrumental in bringing Art Basel here, and that was formative to Miami. It's formative to that whole culture community down there. It's had a big impact.
Well, he was like the big impact for Miami too, and he is a collector. I happened to meet him one time in Aspen. My parents were looking at a piece of art, and he was there too. And they introduced us since we were both from Florida, and that was like a memory, that
he's a really, really nice person. Yeah, really good person.
So I didn't realize he was so instrumental in bringing Basel to Miami, but it makes sense.
He's among the people. There was, I think, a group of people that worked really hard to make that happen, and I hope they're really proud of what they did for Miami, because it's a big engine.
So after, like, now that there's like Art Basel being so important now, like obviously we live in Palm Beach County. Palm Beach does like a big art, show, Art Palm Beach I think it's in the fall, like after Christmas time.
Yeah.
So are those big important avenues to go to as well? I mean, I definitely know they bring community together, but I always wonder, are people really going and focusing on the art, or are they just going and being a part of the event?
It's not. So I think that is almost more of a local expression. So it's dealers from around the U.S. typically. Some international dealers show up and getting exposure to like a Palm Beach County audience.
Right.
Whereas Miami is drawing people from every corner of the planet.
Correct.
So the scale of Miami and its reach feel very, very different to me. The quality of work that ends up in Miami is at a different level. So Palm Beach doesn't keep up. but that's okay. I mean, it's a smaller fair.
Right. Right.
I go every year and I check it out and I say hi, check out people. I see what they're showing, but it's not the same thing.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a smaller expression.
Yeah.
Like
I don't want anyone to get mad.
When
at me
you
for
go
saying
to
that.
these shows, are you going there for looking for clients or looking just to see what's new? Or they're on a mission because you're looking for something?
Well, I guess you're always looking
right.
to see like what pops up that that you're excited about, that that you think someone you'd love to share with a collector. So that's just that kind of reconnaissance, like always like kind of keeping tabs of who's showing what. That's definitely.
So you're always thinking about clients who may be interested in something that you might find.
Yeah, or if there's something that I just think is really special, then I'll be like, hey, they might not be looking for it, but I'll be like, this I think is a really special thing, and I'd like you to consider it, or would you, so that kind of thing happens too. But then there's also just people that are dealers and just reconnecting and talking and finding out what they're working on and what they're excited about, and so there's that aspect to it.
So what makes something special? Is it just personal opinion, or, I mean, you think of like a baseball card, like the Roger Maris, the year he did his 51 home runs.
Collector
so that's like
You collect that stuff?
What's that?
You collect that?
No, but I've always kind of like been interested and always found it fascinating that people I mean, like I've got a lot of friends that were professional athletes, and I've heard the stories. I've got a really good friend that we have a tequila company with. Whenever he signs his name, he always puts the person's name on it, because to get his autograph with just his autograph is very rare.
Yeah.
So he knows that those are
that's
rare balls to get.
That's interesting.
But putting someone like signing it to Scott,
it's not the same thing.
It's not. Well, it's great. It's great for Scott because I have
personal.
Personal, but there's no value because selling it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I was very friendly with Pete Rose. I helped Pete with a radio show he had many years ago. He was my neighbor across the street. And he would never sign anything. Everything was stamped. Yeah. He always gave out cards that were stamped.
That's interesting.
Because he knew that his
signature
wet
meant
ink,
something.
the wet ink. Yeah. And he would never do it just his Pete Rose. It would be what's your name?
Yeah. That's interesting. That makes a lot of sense.
I have a great funny story. It's years ago. I have a friend, and this is modern art, I would tend to think. Contemporary. Contemporary. He sold a piano to Peter Max. Peter Max wrote him a check, but he doodled all over the whole check, like put a whole mural on the little check.
That's cool.
My friend, the person I knew, didn't cash the check.
I love that. He probably knew that he wasn't going to cash it.
He realized that afterwards because he framed it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great story.
And we're talking I think it was like $14,000-$15,000 check.
That's hilarious.
So I think of how many times
did you ever trade it? By the way, did he trade it?
I don't know because I lost touch with him.
Yeah.
But I think of how many times has Peter Max probably done that in his life?
It's got a lot of free stuff all over.
all the checks.
Yeah.
I love that. He doesn't like the digital world because he can't doodle on it.
Right.
Venmo doesn't work.
Venmo doesn't work good with doodles.
No, and it's like the Ken Keeley we have in our house where he drew this whole additional thing on the painting.
Yeah.
But that's probably not I think of it, it's probably not much value to anyone else because it's really just to me or my family.
Yeah.
Like the appreciation for that.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Well, your original question was, how do you assess value? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Or how do I know something is special?
Well, I feel like it's almost like the stock market in a way. I mean, you're brokering,
but more so the stock. But the stock market is all based off of what's trading and how much is trading.
Well, by the way,
when you're looking at
that too.
When you're looking at a piece of
a little bit,
based off of how much is trading of that particular artist is that what you mean?
Right. So if that artist is trading at auction, and there's good auction records, that helps.
Oh yeah. So I can imagine that.
So there's a lot of artists that don't have great auction record, or they don't have good records for a specific kind of version of their work. But if there is, that's a very good kind of metric.
So you make me think about there's trading in the stock market, and what's it called? When you tell someone
Insider trading.
insider trading.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, the art world.
in the art
A
world,
lot of insider trading.
is there, where, hey, I'm an artist, and if you buy my painting for extraordinary value, my worth is going to go up, and I'll work a deal with you. I mean, does any of that ever happen in the art world? Or
I'm not sure, if it happens exactly at that level, but like the point is that people can absolutely, like, they're market makers. There's dealers who are market makers. They
It's just so
control the inventory. They
fascinating.
constrain what shows up at market.
right,
They set the prices. I mean, it is in a certain way, it's an insider's game, right?
right.
And people with capital can have a huge influence
Mm-hmm.
on something. I mean, people can, be well supporting an artist and supported at auction, and those auction records are going up. And so there's things like that, like kind of influences. I don't want to say manipulations, but influences that can help drive prices.
So do some of those influencers also associate to, like you mentioned, Brad Pitt, and I mentioned Malcolm Forbes, sort of really interesting person starts buying an individual's art. Does that change the market for?
It definitely can. Usually you need to have, so there's like these kind of market makers in the art world. So there's art dealers and there's definitely like tiers of art dealers. Like there's,
Okay.
kind of top art dealers, and,
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah. There's curators that also have different kind of influence, notoriety at any given moment in time. There's institutions and museums.
Right.
I mean, the
Right.
Rebelle would also fall into that. Like they're collectors and an institution.
Right.
And then you have collectors, and all of those things work in concert to drive price.
Right.
Ah.
Like definitely. And there's people that are understanding things that are coming, or moves that galleries are going to make before most people realize it. And so they can get kind of a jump on trying to grab inventory, or, that stuff is definitely happening. Like,
So in the art market, like a stock, you buy a stock and 2 days later it depreciates, it's gone down. Does that happen dramatically with art? Is there the chance that, okay, I bought a beautiful piece at a great value, can it go down in price, or?
oh, it can. I mean,
Really?
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, tastes change.
Okay.
Like we just came out of a moment. I actually think it's changing right now. Like old masters were just like, people weren't interested.
But now.
Really?
So yeah, and that's starting to change right now. Like, and so those sentiments, that public sentiment changes all the time, and where the money's
Peaks and
going.
valleys.
Yeah,
That's why it's a heirloom investment,
Yeah.
generational
yeah.
asset. So why do you think that is about the old masters in particular?
It feels like, well, I think that there's more like retrospectives showing up, or shows that are showing up that are kind of bringing attention back to like the importance.
Does Basel highlight anything like that? I always think
Yeah, they
of
do.
Basel more contemporary, but
Oh no,
No, so
there's
there's-
a lot there. Yeah. I mean, there is like a more of an old masters centered art fair. So there's a better art fair for it.
I
Wow.
know we are like
They're
in it right now.
They're working. But there's also, I mean, there's great impressionist work that would be available at Art Basel, and it's probably more modern. So modern, like kind of Picasso, Miro, call it like like that kind of moment.
Uh-huh.
And so it's probably more heavy in that, and then too contemporary. But you'll still find dealers who are showing amazing, like old masters or earlier work.
So I was listening to a podcast this morning, and they were talking about how some art markets are struggling because there's so much fake out there. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, no,
Fake?
there is
I
fake.
mean,
Yeah.
so how? I mean, obviously that's
Fake in terms of
like they're
forgeries,
they're
or?
forgeries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It happens, and there's many times when things have been put in front of me
And
that are just like, you're just kind of like, something doesn't feel right. The narrative doesn't work. So, I mean, you really want to attach, like, that's, the term provenance. So really understanding a history of a piece and be able to track it, like, what was the original art dealer, who collected it, where has it been exhibited, kind of like
Ah,
tracking,
ah.
Does most art have that kind of history, or
Does it
Yeah, it's part of
barcodes
almost
now and
everything.
stuff on everything? Like, I
What?
mean, is everything like have a QR code on the back nowadays? Or like, is there a tracking system
Well,
for
there's all these
art?
different things happening around, like, for example, blockchain and using blockchain as a way to track provenance.
Wow.
So those things are happening, but usually it's attached like literally as a narrative that you can then reference. You can track it back and find sources.
how are you tracking it? Is it
It's
what? So
research.
Yeah.
research.
Word of
Yeah, like
mouth.
going through like catalog raisonnés and trying to find
Seeing it on
exhibition
people's
catalogs.
walls.
It's like going through Ancestry, trying
Yeah,
to
it's the ancestry. It's the ancestry search.
really,
And there's people that are exceptional at doing that, and
and they'll be able to track who different buyers were and who the sellers were.
well, it's almost always attached, like, some reference. Sometimes it will say private collection, like Vienna,
Right.
and sometimes you can kind of ascertain who that was, but other times you're just looking for like the important clues to like that validate that this is the object that was shown in Paris in 1955.
Oh
You know,
my
or
gosh.
something, yeah, versus a fake. And then by the way, there's now forensic
Right.
work that's done
Right.
that's looking. I mean, it's down to the point of understanding like pigments that existed,
Back then.
yeah, versus today,
Right.
and material studies. And so if it comes to that, there's that option. That's a little frightening when it moves into that realm where you're trying to diagnose, do a diagnosis to that level. But typically you want to, and where's, by the way, something coming from,
Hmm.
like
What do you mean by that? Where it's
so
coming from?
is the person credible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, is it coming?
That's where your trust in your industry is so important.
Yeah. Like, is it Hauser and Wirth Gallery, a great gallery in New York, that's presenting this to you? Or is it some guy
So
that's
it's a
telling you a story
reputable-
about his mother finding it in her garage?
Right.
But there must be a few of those that
Those
happen
good
that
yeah.
are real.
And they are real sometimes, yeah.
Yeah,
And do
that's like
contemporary artists have that same problem? I would think no, right?
No,
Like,
but everyone's doing a really good job. I think more and more is being really diligent about cataloging their work, so that you can track that back. So it gets harder, I guess, the longer.
it's funny, when I first started my business, my interior design business, the walls were all blank and empty. And, I had a girl that I had hired, and she was living in South Beach, and she was like, I know all these young artists, like they'll come and put it up on the wall for free, just for exposure. And I still to this day have like the manila folder with everything. And every time one of them wanted to come take it, the business was growing successfully and doing well. And I was like, well, how much do you want for it? I'll buy it. So I, over time, ended up buying
Nice.
everything but I don't know what any of it really is. It's just, but I ended up loving it. And it was a part of my growth and my success. And I felt like they all individually brought me good luck, and some of them
So
I
it served
might
its purpose.
not have I might not have
That's good.
chosen on my own.
Yeah.
And I look at them all every day now, and I notice different things that kind of have new meaning. Like one has 3 bugs on it, like there's 3 ants on it, and I'm like, oh, I ended up having 3 children. Like they just all have these little different resonance to me. But it's like, how do you know if those are even, like, where do you begin? Is there like an art database with artists?
I think you literally just
people-
start doing a search on the artist and find out. I mean, what you want to know is like where's, like one of these artists, where's she been showing,
Mhm.
like who's representing her? Has she been in any exhibitions? And by the way, I would reach out to her.
Well, I know
If you have
I do have the manila folder somewhere with all the, like, everybody's business. I mean, this was back literally in 2000, literally like 1999.
Yeah.
So before any sophisticated internet,
Yeah.
there was no.
Well, but if she's still producing,
Yeah.
then she has an active career. Then she'll jump at the chance to communicate with you
Yeah.
and like let you know everything she's done. And
There's definitely like probably 6 different artists.
yeah, well, I think that that's a good example because I think that there's a lot of ways to buy art, and there's a lot of people making art, and there's a lot of local artists that need to be supportive and should be supported. Now, they might not be like I often think about like kind of the collectible art world, and the art world is definitely an exclusive place. Like it's got gatekeepers, and it's letting artists in, and it's not letting others in, and it's
Which is
not fair.
interesting.
It's not fair
Whoa, that's an
necessarily.
interesting comment.
Like there's all kinds of luck at play, contacts, like moment in time, like synchronicity. So it's not perfect, but it is designed to vet and bring out like compelling work. And so then that work might end up in museums and curated and collected, and then all of a sudden it has value. Whereas the person next door that was in the next studio made beautiful work that was really meaningful, but just didn't quite attract, the right kind of attention at the right moment. And then, so they're still making wonderful things that might be super meaningful, but they didn't get the benefit of all that intellectual capital helping them.
So fascinating.
So how important is it?
So fascinating.
Yeah.
How important is it to buy an original? So, and what I mean by that is it's got to be more than 15 years ago. Tiffany and I went to, it was an attempt. Yoko Ono was selling art that she and John Lennon had done. We bought 2 pieces there. One was 1 of 10. We had, I think, number 8 of the 10. And the other was, I forget, it had much more. It was like 1 of maybe 50. And we bought 1. Do those have any value?
Maybe. Like
it's like, I think of what the word lithograph is that
like
what is,
print
does that mean a remake of the
But
original?
if it's like an edition, right? So edition basically is what you're talking about. So there's some scarcity attached to it. Whatever the method is of reproducing it, it's like 1 of 10. It's 1 of 100.
One was like a charcoal, like pencil drawn, big
It's an Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower. And John Lennon had hand drawn it. Got to be 4 feet high, and then he self-drew himself and her in front of the Eiffel Tower.
I like that.
Yeah,
and then we have like, and I think there were
Cool
only
piece.
10 that they made copies of. We bought, it was number.
That sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
Like that
But
sounds like
I
it could
say
have
to
that-
myself,
by the way, that
it's
does
not
have-
the original, and afterwards,
but
and we
still-
paid a good.
But it's still, there's scarcity.
Yeah.
There's 10.
So there's value in that.
Yes. I mean, obviously, value is attached to scarcity.
Right.
It's true.
If they had printed posters, like it might have some value if they did a run of 300 posters. Now they're not doing it anymore. You know what I mean? Like it could still have value if you have one of the good posters.
Right.
So like anywhere where there's some scarcity.
Yeah. I a family friend, Marvin Shankin, was the founder of the Wine Spectator, and then he also did Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah, I love
He was a really good friend of my parents, and I had done a television deal with him years ago. And in New York City, in his office, he had a room, it was a big room with all these drawers, and every drawer had 2 or 3 posters, but they were like, I'm going to say European type of like movie posters, but like
I know what you mean.
they had like a European flair too, like French or.
Yeah.
And he had this massive collection of these.
Was that his own personal
collection that he had?
By the way, those things, like, so they're produced at a moment in time, so they're not reproduced. Like, so if you had vintage, like, like that.
And he was so proud of these.
Yeah.
And the way in which, like,
and
the mahogany.
Flat files are well preserved.
Mahogany, beautiful room.
That's a real archive that he was working with.
Yeah, that's like, so that's potentially like really meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I have a project I worked on last year. A great guy. He's a good friend, but his passion, like absolute passion, is art associated with the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And so, cool. and he has means. So I'll like show him something. I'll be like, please, like this is an amazing painting. Like, please buy this and just put it aside and just like give it 5 years because this is
all Grateful Dead.
Yeah, like I'll beg. No. I'm talking about like I'll have something I want him to buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like this, like
just
and then
and
he'll just be like, that's ugly. I hate it. Like I don't. Yeah.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah. But he loves like the Grateful Dead work, which by the way I completely respect his approach. And then so we ended up going kind of on a journey. And learning about that genre, but that's not like been in my
repertoire.
Yeah. So as much as I was a high school or a college kid and went to Dead shows, but I wasn't like So but it was fascinating. Like, you ended up learning so much about, poster art,
Right.
limited poster art, original artwork for those posters, like in the Haight-Ashbury days. And like, so we just ended up like, it was quite a journey, but we ended up coming across some treasures, like in that
Wow.
space, like absolute treasures.
Wow.
Yeah, when I talk to people that are deadheads today, they're like,
Whoa,
you
you
guys,
found
like,
that?
I'm like, he owns that. I don't know. He owns that. I'm like, yeah. And they're like,
Yeah, we have a friend that probably would, he's pretty well off. He would love dead stuff because that's all he talks about.
yeah. Yeah. So by the way, that's the other part of art, right? Where do your passions lie?
Right.
Like, what gets you turned on? Because
Yes.
I think art at its best is a journey, like
Mhm.
collecting art. Like, it's a process. And by the way, as couples, like, I think it's a wonderful shared journey
It is
for a couple.
very true.
Because
what
it's
you
also
say.
difficult because you're not going to agree on things. So you have to kind of navigate that.
Right.
But you'll end up making decisions. I think
It's
and
a
it takes you
different
everywhere.
process.
It can take you all over the place. Like, you can go look
Yes.
at art in St. Bart's, you can go look at art in Paris, you can go look at art in Shanghai, together. And you're going to get exposed to different things. And so that's probably one of the coolest things for me about that whole, what I've done.
So you're taking people on these journeys and
I've
finding
gone a lot of the journeys myself, and I feel like,
but you're bringing back
yeah, like
something
things I
that's
might learn. Yeah.
and special.
Yeah. Yeah. And my ex-wife and I, at one point, did a lot of it. And
See, I find that fascinating because Tiffany decorates, and she's been for 25 years, hundreds of homes. She decorates these homes, then she buys people art.
Well,
She
I
buys
don't
them
want to buy
pictures.
like
Yeah.
junk art, but
But you do. And I
if it
said,
means something to you, that's what matters. Like I was trying to say, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to look at value.
yeah,
It can be collectible, but also can just literally be like, it works
Yeah.
on that wall.
yeah.
but you see, I have a hard
Yeah.
time putting my head around that because in our house, everything that's hanging on the wall, there's a meaning behind.
So I think
every-
that's how I'm more associated. Like, I want things like there's a story.
Yeah. me
yes,
too.
there's
that
a story
I
on
connect to.
every piece that's
Yeah.
hanging.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we've just bought. Okay, let's buy
That's a
that.
good
hang
point,
on,
actually.
put it,
Yeah.
It's never pure decoration for me.
Yes.
But there's some people that do pure decoration, which I respect. And I have, I work towards that. But to me, there has to be like an attached like story, like it fits in a place in art history. It has an opportunity to increase in value. Like, those are the things.
But
like
those are great stories
Yeah.
to sell to a person or help a person curate for themselves or for their home, because you're giving them a story behind that piece of art.
Yeah.
Which then, see, I'm a person that I've taken a lot of products to market, and I believe any product to bring to market, there's got to be a story behind the product, because if you have a story, like if we have a story about this water bottle, and you love that story, you're going to go tell someone else that story about the water
Absolutely.
bottle. So it's
And
the
we
same thing
exist-
about
humans
everything.
need stories.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I
Have-
love podcasts.
our world
so
doesn't make
much.
sense
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
without it, right? Like, you
Yes.
have to have it.
It's like in
Yeah.
our house, everything that's hanging on the walls, there's a story.
Yeah, that's
And we
actually why, like, my example for that is like when I walk into a hotel room that just has like some G clay printed, like, it's like
Yeah.
it does nothing for me. Like, it's just
Right.
trying to fill a space.
I know.
That bothers me a little
It's
bit.
true.
By the way, it's no disrespect. It's just me.
Yeah, I understand
know?
though.
And like, I want something that like,
It's part of your travel
Connects me.
journey, and
Yeah.
you do want a hotel room to have like a little bit more expression.
Yeah.
You would
I'd
have
rather
we-
someone went
we
to a gem
traveled-
store, hung something
right
from the local
and
gem
made a little
Yeah.
curated.
Yeah.
We traveled a number of years ago, and I said to Tiffany, let's stay at the Hard Rock. She was like, no, I don't want to stay at the Hard Rock. I said, no, come on, one time let's stay at the Hard Rock
Orlando,
Hotel
of course.
in Orlando. Because I thought that the Hard Rock in the rooms would have really cool, like, rock and roll. We got to the room and I was like so disappointed that, yeah, they had pictures, but it was like, oh my
That's
God.
a
Like,
huge mass-produced
Oh,
hotel.
yeah, it was like terrible.
Yeah, you want to see like Jimmy Page's guitar or something?
Yeah.
I thought they would have like really cool stuff, but no,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, they did. Like, have you ever been to the Hard Rock in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Because they do have those like guitars and outfits
Yeah,
like down
in
like
the main
like so-
the main lobbies and everything like
But not
that.
in the rooms.
No.
Yeah.
So rooms are just pictures of like rock concerts and stuff. Yeah.
Not even that. Terrible.
So going So if somebody had 100,000 to spend on a piece of art, what are questions they themselves should ask? What should they be asking? Like, where should they be starting?
So, okay, well, I guess the first thing is like kind of what's the goal? Because if the goal is like to have a collectible asset, then that's a very different conversation than there's an aesthetic requirement,
Okay.
you
Makes
know?
sense. Yep.
And by the way, they can be merged, but like let's understand what the requirement is, because then that makes it much easier if we understand there's aesthetics, there's size constraints, and then there's there's an objective. But then like okay, so I work and like so to me, art is a relationship business. So everyone I work with are friends.
See, and I was just
Like
thinking as you're talking, it's similar to what I do. Like we also talk a lot on this part, hiring a professional when you are ready to spend that money. So when somebody does have, that's why they need somebody like you.
Yeah, so it's a dialogue. Like I like to approach it like asking questions, really try to understand that person, and then try to like layer in what I've learned and what I know to help inform that buy. You know what I mean? So that's the way I would approach it. Like someone like flying blind and they're just literally jumping in. I mean, I always say just immerse yourself like as quickly as possible into like a sophisticated, like by the way, probably the best place to go is to like the best art dealer you can find in your region.
In like your town, like a gallery or
Yeah, art gallery. Yeah, like go to the so I mean I would probably in this case I'd probably go up to Palm Beach and I would start talking to galleries and like find out who do I like? They hear me, like they
right.
understand me, they respond, like, and then I would just start a dialogue with them.
Build a relationship.
Yeah, because I think you want to provide some context around what you're doing. Like I've made so many mistakes not talking to people, just spending money.
Right.
Like it's just burned money, like, and from a value perspective.
Right.
And by the way, I don't like the art anymore either because my tastes evolve. So,
which is design too. I mean, we decorate their house and you love it for 15 years and then you're ready for an update, a refresh. It doesn't mean what was done 15 years was wrong or bad. You've just evolved.
Exactly. It's a process. Right. And you're evolving. I think of it as like everything is just a studio and we're just working through, like rethinking it like over and over and over again. And that's because we're like expanding. Like there's no done.
Right. We're not.
I got an architecture professor, like someone like was done with their project like early, and he's like, "You're done."
That's a good.
No such thing as done.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. Do you spend more time buying art for people or selling art, or even yourself?
Probably. Well, for me, I guess that there's kind of a back and forth that's happening. If I look back at the last couple of years, a lot of buying actually in the last couple of years. There's like a few things that will de-accession so we can make room for something else, but it's probably principally driven towards buying. Yeah, but I also I was formerly with another group, and I ended up really focusing on what we call like acquisition. So taking things from collectors that they want to sell, and then finding homes for them. And I was working principally in South Florida, and there's a lot of old, kind of older collections, people that are at a different point in their career, and so there was all kinds of things that I was selling through.
It's such a fascinating industry to me too, because I have a client who is a collector and a dealer and from family, like grew up with it also in his life, and he gets the phone calls that like, after Sotheby's is done up in Palm Beach, one of the grand, Gilded Age homes, like somebody passes away, family's been through it, doesn't want it. Sotheby's is done with it, has taken the now this is what's left. Like, do you ever get calls like that to like sort out collections?
Yeah, that's happened. Absolutely. 100%.
I find that so interesting.
Yeah. And then like sometimes there's ways to like point things in certain directions, and other times it's like wait, like, or find a way, like hang on to that a while and just, the market's a little like soft at this moment for certain artists, but it will probably come back.
Right.
And so some of that is, that definitely happens.
So art can be, from a pricing standpoint, from one end to the other, extraordinarily,
There's a lot of
price.
volatility.
Is there a kind of a middle point of where, you know, like the average that people will spend on pieces, or is it just all over the map?
Well, so collecting art is like it's definitely more of like a privilege for people that have
The means.
capacity. Yeah. I mean, that's just
Yes,
unfortunately, right?
it is. Yeah.
It's really hard to do it like on a strict budget, but there are some really wonderful examples of people who have done it that are really, really brilliant at doing it. But so I'm trying to think of how to answer that question. Like, where does someone
So
start?
there's no price point that's kind of like an average price point. Like
I
the
used to
average piece sells, today in the $15,000-$20,000 range, or is it just
I feel like that might actually be a pretty good. I mean, if you want to go into like some of these art fairs, which you consider like galleries, which are nurturing careers intended to have success and exist over time and end up in museums, and I do feel like maybe like 15, 20 grand is pretty common. But when I was starting it, I feel like you could go buy things 5 grand and under, and I kind of missed that.
Wow.
Like that made sense to me. It's harder to like take a flyer on a $30,000 piece of art
right?
for me. But there's just been so much money that flowed into the market that there's just such demand. And by the way, that market, like where you're buying more emerging art that's not as well collected yet, is soft right now. So right now, like this
People
market right
want
now,
the sure thing.
very much blue chip, like soup. Yeah, it's like that's where money is going. And so that market that was like in 2020 through 2022 was like, it was a wild speculative market. And people were just paying anything for any new artist at a decent gallery.
Any new artist.
Any
Yeah.
new artist, basically, or like young artists. Almost people just right out of like an MFA at Yale, and they're selling
Yeah.
things for crazy money. So, I mean, I don't think it doesn't serve the artist very well, but especially when the market softens. But it's softer now, so it's probably
That's
easier.
fascinating that like artists, like you think of Andy Warhol. I mean,
Well, one thing I love
to me, that's
art. Like, well, and
like
yet
that's
the
art. Like
factory and
if you
the
get,
art, like there
if
was
you could
such
have
a
an Andy
story
Warhol hanging in
attached
your
to
house.
it. Same thing with Picasso. I mean, to me, they all have such a buildup of a personality. Like even Chagall, you go to like Ez and you see like where he would spend summers, or Monet's garden. That like to me there was such a like I get it. Like to me, I'm probably more attached to the story and the buildup than
Yeah,
And those stories are important.
yeah.
I mean, the Warhol factory, like think about like where we were in this kind of industrial moment in time and pop culture and like,
Right.
this like the rise of the stars and the distribution of movies and like, media. Like, so, I mean, he literally like created like a factory, which is what we were doing with everything else on our
Yeah.
planet, and commercialized pop culture. Like it was brilliant. Like it actually, like it is our culture. Like it's a
Right.
representation.
Right.
And that's like that. What's better than that?
No, I know.
It's perfect. It's
amazing.
a perfect. I mean, I love that work, and I
Do
love.
you ever
is
run
there-
across his stuff?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure
Oh
all
yeah.
the
I mean, I made my
time.
parents buy some. Yeah. Like yeah.
Is
yeah.
it ever out there reasonable?
Well, there's certain things. There's like editioned work that like you can buy. That's reasonable. I mean, there's things that, yes, and
Oh, we would want a Warhol.
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Just-
I mean, I love a lot of his work, and I love the story. I love how many artists he's influenced.
Right.
together.
Correct.
So is there
Yeah.
anybody out there like that now that you see, setting up like their story is just being
Well, an artist that I like that's kind of similar and has a similar approach is Takashi Murakami. He's a Japanese artist.
Yep.
And,
I have a
and like he did the
handbag.
purses.
Yeah, I have
I have
one.
one. I bought one for my ex-wife. I want it back, but like
I have
just-
two. I gave one to I have two daughters, but I have two of them, and I gave one to each of the twins. And I keep telling them, I'm like, you don't understand. Like, it really is important.
Yeah.
It's a special piece.
Yeah. I have a painting, Louis Vuitton painting he did.
Oh, so
and,
cool.
yeah. that I bought like 25 years ago, or something
So does
crazy.
he have an interesting life too?
Yeah, but he also like supports artists. He has a studio. He invites other artists into the studio. He actually
like an
nurtures
apprenticeship
careers. Yeah.
situation.
Like he's got like Kai Kai Kiki, which literally is like promoting other artists and helping them nurture their career. I mean, I like that he's building a universe to help build these artists' careers. Now he's telling a story that's like principally based in Japanese culture, right? So manga
interesting.
and
Yeah.
anime and a lot of those traditional narratives so, but it's but I love that about him as a leader. You know, like he's taking his success and he's really helping
Right.
a lot of other. And by the way, I mean, he also transcended, like a lot of artists don't transcend that,
No.
like fine art and making commercial bags for Louis Vuitton.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, switching genres is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, and he pulls it off, and it doesn't, like, he didn't lose any credibility. Like, that's awesome. Like, that represents this moment, I think.
Yeah.
There's other artists that can't quite carry that, but he did, and he did it well. And so,
And what do you think of like some of these contemporary artists, like an Alec Monopoly, or like I feel like Banksy? That some of these that people, I don't know.
well, Banksy is interesting to me.
Do we know who he is?
I think, well, I feel like every day, like there's someone saying we know him, and then and then there's like questions, and I mean, I feel like I read something that they did discover him, but I don't even know who it is. I don't even know if I care. Like, you know, I don't mean that's disrespect.
Yeah, no, I know.
I actually like the mystery.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Kenny Schaaf?
Oh yeah, I love his work. Yeah. Yeah, I spoke to him on the phone once. Well, actually, I called his studio, and I think he pretended it wasn't him, but
it was him.
Yeah.
I was doing a restaurant years ago, and I got in touch with him, and he was going to do all of our plates.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing a video with him where he decorated this car. That we,
Oh, like an art car?
yeah, pretty wild what he did to it.
Yeah.
A few of
He
them
did it right
have
here in
done
Del.
that.
He did it right here in Delray.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well, he's got some nice like movement right now, trend. Like, I mean, people are paying attention, and he's a great artist.
Yeah.
And,
He's a great guy. I mean, just I got to know him, and
yeah, and super influential in like, I mean, Herring,
Oh
like
my
all,
God.
I mean, great friends with Herring, like all those people that he was connected to.
yeah.
I mean, he was in he was in that moment, and so
Is he still?
Well, he's still making great work, I think, and so getting the attention again. I think the market's paying attention, and I mean, he's had a very stable career for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Makes good work. I mean, he's smart.
Yeah.
So,
What a fun conversation.
Yeah.
What a fun job you have.
I know, really.
It's and I always say that in the end, like I like objects, I like art, I like ideas, I like beauty, and by the way, it's not just about beauty, but I like things that are compelling, and visual narratives work for me. But in the end, I also love people. So the only reason I do this is because I get to meet great people, and I want to know like what makes you all, like, where's your genius? Like what's your perspective that like I don't have? I totally get turned on hearing those stories and why people buy art, that, what attracted them to something. So that to me, it's just that it's a friendship.
Definitely.
So for someone who listening to this podcast now says to themselves, well, I'd like to buy something interesting. Where should they start? What should they do? What should they be thinking about?
I feel like you said going through a
Go
gallery.
to Art Basel?
Yeah. Well, Art Basel is a great way to just kind of be like, here it is. Boom. Like, here's like the collectible art world in a box. Like, that's one way to see a lot.
So amazing to think about the collectible art world right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not everything, but it's like a super education.
Yeah.
Like, you supercharge your eyes. So like, if you go and look at a lot of things, like, and by the way, you might have to do it a couple of years in a, you know what I mean?
Right.
To like get that thing processing. But you're going to see, and you're going to start getting turned on by things. You're going to ask questions, and then you're going to start building a sophistication around it. So that's a great education. By the way, also going to art openings, good art openings. Like, there's good art openings in Miami. There's good art openings in Palm Beach.
Yeah,
there's great work. So go to those.
Through the years, on and off.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the iDesign Lab podcast. It was so much
one
fun.
last thing. So for anyone listening who wants advice, who needs some help, how can they find you? How can they reach out to you?
Well, the best place is probably to email me at Breck@gmail, Breckenridge. So BRECKENRIDGE @gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the best. I can, if someone wants to text me, it's 585-729-6666. So easy number, 585-729, all sixes. And actually I love text, actually.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought I would say that, but I do. I literally.
prefer it. Yeah.
too.
It's immediate. It's, and in fact, I created a service that just like basically turns an inbox into a text service. And that email is breck@noinbox.ai.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
No
that's actually a good
inbox.
one. Actually, and that one I'm in beta to let other people into it right now. But so that's a good one to use. breck@noinbox.ai. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sitting with us today.
I know. What an
Yeah.
amazing conversation. I could pick your brain for hours more.
Yeah. Well, you can anytime.
I will look forward to that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. And yeah, thank you guys. I'm really exciting what you guys do.
Thank
you.
you.
So yeah, and nice that you bring all this stuff together and all these people together and
It's
share
really
the
a
knowledge.
joy every day,
Yeah.
honestly,
That's
that
fun.
we'd host one of
Yeah.
these. It's really, I learned so much. And I do believe everybody's story is important,
Yeah.
and our stories are constantly being written. So
Yeah.
we'll look back. Maybe we'll have you come back before Basel. Tell us what we need
that
to
would be
look
fun.
for.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun.
I
I
would
love
love
that.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the iDesign Lab podcast.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.